Perfect. And I'll let you guys go ahead and start, so then I can go ahead and start publishing the link.
Tim.
So whenever you're ready, Chicken, you can get going.
Okay, we can start. Okay. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Lionhearts Men's Conference, Day 2. My name is Demfayo. You might remember me from yesterday. I made a short presentation myself. Today, it's a very interesting conversation that we'll be having, and I look forward to having it. Say, for example, you are 50 years old, you have no retirement plan, or you are 55 and you can see you are aging. So I would like to introduce you to Mr. Sebastian Zuze from Chieza Retirement Advisory Services. Mr. Chieza is here to equip us with knowledge in our retirement, despite perhaps our lack of preparation, for the lack of a better statement. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Mr. Zuze. Please, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to discuss a very pertinent, a topic which I believe everyone, every employee, every business owner, every family, every musician, every soccer player, every director, everyone must talk about. The most important thing to understand about retirement is that it will happen to everyone, whether you have your own business, whether you are a musician, a soccer player, a politician. If it's not you retiring, then it could be a relative. It could be your friends. So I would like to encourage everyone listening to me to listen on those levels. If it's not so much an issue to you, then listen for your brother, listen for your neighbor, for your friends. My name is Sebastian Zuze. I am a retiree myself. I retired at 46 years old. Now I'm 52. And what I'm going to be sharing with you is something that I was not taught. What you realize, viewers, listeners, is that retirement is not taught in the formal education system. You know, you can have degrees, but you will never be taught how to retire with excellence. You know, I'm actually in Zambia, and I've got a call coming in from, I don't know whether I could take, because this is the government of Zambia, they're launching this program here. So I think they wanted to just check. I don't know whether I can.
Yeah, please, just take it real quick. We cannot stop you because, we understand that you have a busy schedule. So we'll pause it for a minute or two and you can respond. Okay, so we'll just give Mr. Zuze a little bit of time. We might have lost him slightly, but we'll give him a little bit of time to answer his call and he'll revert.
Looks like he's back and reconnecting.
Yes. Hello.
Oh.
I'm back. I'm back now.
All right. We can pick up where we left off, sir.
Yes, and don't forget to lean back a bit.
Too late.
Sorry?
Okay. So sorry for that. You know, it's actually the Zambian government, the drug enforcement. They want to make sure I'll be coming through. So I was saying, I trained myself. I trained as a chemical engineer. I have several degrees, masters, but I was never taught a retirement. So it becomes very important for all of us to really pay attention to this topic, because surprisingly, this topic is not there in our continuous development programs. You will see that on my bio, a lot of people call me a retirement expert. And the question then is, how do you become an expert for a subject which is normally not taught? How do you become an expert? Well, viewers, listeners, I developed all that I'll share with you from what I saw happen to an event that happened to me. My father was working for one of the biggest councils in Zimbabwe. He left work on Friday, came home, everything is all right. We are having a good time. By that time I left home, I'm now working for another company as a manager. My father goes back to work on Monday, and they are being told that everyone who is 55 years and above are no longer allowed to go into the premises. You know, this was such a big shock. My father came home, he couldn't tell my mother. I had left home, and so was many of my brothers and sisters. So I was working near, you know, my workplace was near my father's. So I later learned from employees at my workplace that my father would be seen, you know, just sitting nearby, near his workplace for 3 days. You know, you would go there, you would be given his food. We call it a lunchbox. He would be having his lunchbox. He goes there in the morning, in the evening, he comes back home. And when I was told by workers that, look, is there something wrong? You know, we're seeing your father, this place. I went there. I had a conversation with him. To cut a long story short, it was only after some hours that my father told me that he had been, you know, he had undergone what I now understand is retiring due to circumstances. You know, that was July. We had to go through a struggle to get the mother to accept that. And finally, when she accepted that, we started, you know, sorting out the papers, the pensions and all. And at that time, when they worked out the pension for my father, it came out to about equivalent of 5 liters of petrol. And here I was, a young manager, I'm doing very well. I have a company vehicle. And I thought I was clever. I said to myself, I'll never be like this old man. I know I'll make a plan towards the end. And that was July. October, my father passed on. You know, when my father passed on, I was so hurt. I actually wanted to take the employer to court, because so I got myself a doctor who was going to testify that my father didn't have a problem, a medical problem. I got an advocate. So I put together this powerful team to fight the employer, because I was hurting. You know, and my father passed on due to hypertension. So I want to encourage, I know this is a men's platform, that retirement can mean death. You know, this is the most disruptive transition that you can ever go through if you are not prepared. Now, when my father passed on, I then went to, you realize that when I talk about this, my mind goes back. So forgive me for sometimes I tend to, because I'm still even now healing. As I teach you, as I talk to you, I'm healing from that event. So I then told I changed my mind when we'd been given the court date. I changed my mind and said, look, this will not bring my father. So I'm not going to go through with this. Doctor, here's your money. Lawyer, here's your money. You can, let's stop this. I want to start an organization that can teach the employee, their family, and the employers about what really is retirement. So I want to repeat that because this is my life mission now. This is why I'm here in Zambia, now being sought after by governments everywhere, because I put this as my life mission to say I want to educate the employee, the employer, the family of the employees about retirement, what really is retirement. And this is seen me now establishing one of what I could call one of the most successful companies called Chiedza Retirement Advisory Services. Chiedza Retirement means, Chiedza means light, and light means knowledge in Hebrew. So I'm saying I want to bring light into retirement because we are already, I want to highlight to everyone listening to me that society is already what I would call in the dark or is not doing things right. You know, if you look at retirement, retirement represents the end. Now, we are taught that start with the end in mind. Start with the end in mind. Or somewhere we read the end of a matter is more important than the beginning. The end of a matter is more important than the beginning. So my question to you listening to me before I even go into the things I want to share with you is then to ask you on behalf to ask you to say, why is society not starting with the end in mind? Why are we teaching students, university graduates to be successful, but we never teach them to look at the end? In other words, if I had my way, no employee should start work without a retirement plan. A retirement plan or a retirement vision is a requirement to start employment, because that is what leadership teaches us. To lead is to see the end of a matter. To lead is to finish successfully. Now, let me tell you about what statistics, let's come to retirement even before I define it. Let's look at statistics. In many countries, even the most powerful countries, 1 out of 10 people are ready for retirement. And remember, this is using the conventional method, understanding what retirement is. 1 out of 10. Now, I want that to sink in. 1 out of 10. Now, when we see the poverty, the socio-economic problems that we see in society, corruption, I will not mention one country right now, which is going through a very difficult time for regarding corruption. The origin of corruption is people trying to secure themselves. If you look at people who are corrupt, they have a thinking that at the end, in other words, if we could teach retirement, we could prevent a lot of society's vices. Now, 1 out of 10 are not ready. If you look at the impact of retirement right now, the impact of retirement, when people retire, the statistics are frightening. You know, if you look at early deaths, you know, I'm doing a research where some councils, like where my father was working, some councils are averaging 2.8 years. In other words, when someone retires, it is about 2.8, maximum 3 years they had gone. So we have shorter lifespan. We have increasing mental issues, drug, substance abuse, due to the impact of retirement on employees or on business owners. Remember, business owners who also retire. So retirement is not a phenomenon just common with employees. Even employers, everyone will retire eventually. Now, you look at divorce cases increasing. There's so many divorce cases due to retirement. You know, when people divorce, when couples divorce, you hear people say, when I was working, we didn't have this problem. This problem started when I lost my job. When I lost my job. And this is particularly important for young people, because statistics show us that very few of them will get to the mandatory retirement age. A lot of this generation who are here, who are called the Gen Z generation, very few of them will get to mandatory retirement age. Now, you also look at the impact on organizations. Retirement also affects organizations. You know, if you don't have a retirement management program, if you don't have a retirement management program, there is no way you can ensure sustainability of your organization. Let me say that again, particularly to leaders, particularly to business owners. If you are running your business and you don't have a retirement management program, you are running the business into the ground. It is impossible to ensure sustainability if you don't have a retirement management program. Because let's understand what sustainability means. Sustainability literally is to say this organization is being run in such a way that it will go on. It will go on and on and on. But people will come and go. People will come and go. People will come and go. But the organization should remain. So for it to remain, we need to have a program to manage how people come and go. Now, if you look at the impact, I've talked about poverty, I've talked about depression, I've talked about a lot more issues to do with what's happening when you look at employees or business owners in retirement. You have to ask yourself, why is it like this? Why are people struggling in retirement? I want to appeal to those who have their own businesses, those who lead businesses, that it is not love for employees not to prepare them for retirement. If you want to show that you love your employees, if you want to show that you care for your employees, prepare them for retirement, because the end of a matter is more important than the beginning. Let me repeat that. The end of a matter is more important than the beginning. I want also, just as I motivate adoption of retirement management, to say to you, it is impossible to create wealth. It is impossible to create wealth without a retirement management. It is impossible. Wealth is what you pass on to the third generation. So if you don't have a management program of your own end, it means automatically you can never create wealth. The other thing linked to this is succession. It is impossible. I meet a lot of companies, I meet a lot of executives. We have a succession program. We're trying to have a succession. It is impossible without retirement management, because the person who should be succeeded must believe, must be ready to let go. Again, I repeat, the person who has to let go, the person who has to be succeeded, must believe, must be ready, must enjoy, must equip the person who will take over them. In your family, if you don't have a retirement management program, it is impossible to ensure the sustainability, the continuity of that family. Because as I prepare, once I believe in my retirement, then I can coach the next guy. I can coach the next leader. What I'm sharing with you is especially visible in politics. Why a lot of political leaders battle with letting go, wanting to go on, is because they are battling with retirement. Internally, they are battling with retirement. What will happen to me? What will happen to the identity that I was associated with? What will be my purpose if I'm no longer this political leader? What will the relationships that I've always had still subsist? What will happen when I lose the influence, the power? And these are some of the things a retirement management program speaks about. But viewers and listeners, I want you to be aware that the retiring environment has changed. If you look at the yesteryear retirement and the retirement now, it has changed. We are now retiring in what we call a VUCA environment. The environment is volatile, constantly changing. You are all aware there are a lot of volatile issues in our environment, and we still have to retire. Look at what is happening, the relations with the United States, the tariffs, the Europe, what's happening in Europe. All those are issues, even complicating retirement for those in the diaspora. As I speak to you, those listening to me in the diaspora, this is a critical issue you have to address. You have to address this issue, and the earlier the better. The environment is uncertain. We don't know what will happen next. The environment is complex. So many issues that are at play. The environment is ambiguous. What we used to know, what used to work yesterday is no longer working today. And let me then look at the current approach to retirement management. The current approach. How is retirement being approached by society? You know, if you look at many human resources practitioners, I know they try their best, but they are also at a loss what to do with retirement. Some companies don't even talk about retirement. Some companies don't even have a program. They just call the employee, can you come here? Here is your letter. You are supposed to retire now. And they let people crash. Some of them just use the mandatory retirement age to say you've reached the age 60, you've reached the age 65, now you're supposed to go. And I want to, viewers, listeners, I want to appeal to you. Just look at the word mandatory retirement. If you look at the current approach to retirement, they say you must retire when you attain the mandatory retirement age. The word mandatory means force. It means we will force you out when you attain this age. So we have to agree right now, society, that we are forcing people out of employment. We are actually forcing them out. Now, here is what you learn with an animal, if I could use that word, called a human being. If you want to crush an animal called a human being, if you want to destroy an animal called a human being, then force it to do something. Force it. That's why a good manager, a good leader never forces, but they inspire, they motivate. So I want to submit to all of us that we are currently forcing people out of employment, and that is not a good approach. We are forcing them out. That's why they battle. That's why all this. Now, I want to, as I offer a solution with the little time that I have, remember I said some government officials are waiting for me to talk to them about retirement, because retirement does affect the organization. Retirement does affect the people. And once the people are affected, they are not productive. There's low worker morale, low industrial relations, reputational damage. So what do we do with the current approach? Is there a way that we can make people thrive in retirement? And before I even give you that, I want to submit also that if you look at many countries, people are ill prepared regarding finances. They don't have enough. They don't have enough to retire on. So we need to ask ourselves, how is it possible to thrive in retirement? What do we need to do as businesses to make sure people thrive in retirement? What do we need to do as families for people to thrive in retirement? Well, let's go back, viewers, to principles. You know, every time I'm confronted with a very difficult topic, with a very difficult decision to make, I then go back to principles. Principles are self-evident truth. Self-evident truth. So let me give you principles that will help us in retirement. Number one, success in retirement is equal to opportunity plus preparation. Success in retirement is equal to opportunity plus preparation. We will all get the opportunity to retire. We all of us need to look out for opportunities. But whether we succeed in retirement is a function of to what level are we prepared. I want to repeat that because I see a lot of people not preparing enough. If you want to measure whether you'll be successful in retirement, right now assess, as you listen to me, what you are doing to prepare. This is not a mystery. It is a function of, are you preparing? How are you being prepared for retirement? You know, when you look at the ecosystem around retirement, you have the pension funds, you have HR systems, you have all these authorities and all that. They are looking at retirement from a financial preparedness perspective. And that is almost just 20% of the story. Retirement has non-financial aspects, which are actually much more dangerous than the financial financial aspect. You know, it is the non-financial which actually causes problems in retirement. I want to give you, listening to me right now, the non-financial, some of the losses you go through in retirement, which can damage no matter how much money you have, no matter how prepared financially you have, you are going to suffer 5 losses. Number one is the loss of routine, a structured day. If you look at many employees, many families, many business owners, your day is organized around your workplace, your work schedule. Now, when you retire, you lose that. And if you didn't make a plan to fill that gap, you are actually going to realize that you will have withdrawal symptoms. You can actually suffer what I call withdrawal symptoms. The other loss you suffer is relationships. The other loss is identity. The other loss is power. The other loss is purpose. All these are losses you need to prepare and provide a solution for during employment. Now, how should we prepare? What are some of the things that we should prepare as we talk about retirement? I have come up with a program which I call Redefining Retirement 101. The Redefining Retirement 01 program is a departure from the conventional or from the traditional approach to retirement management and preparation. This program is a cradle to grave approach. So it starts with the beginning, and then it's from the beginning right up to the end. So it equips you with everything that you need to know about retirement preparedness. It assesses you right now whether you are ready for retirement. It makes sure that you understand money, financial literacy. It makes sure that you have a positive cash flow, and we are even providing funding for income generating projects. It talks about repurposing. We don't believe in retirement, we believe in repurposing. In other words, retirement is a transition from one purpose to the next until your purpose on earth is done. It talks about, becoming a mentor. I call it dying empty. Where we say, whatever you know, we need to make sure as part of your retirement program, find a youngster, find someone to empty all that you know, so that knowledge, those skills can be used as humanity goes on. It talks about estate planning. Estate planning. How do you plan all this wealth that you have gathered? How do you make sure that you live it in such a way that it can be a blessing to generations to come and not a cause of conflict? I want to challenge. It teaches you about understanding pensions. How do pensions work? Under what conditions does a pension work? It teaches you everything. It's a holistic approach. And it is a spouses masterclass where it teaches the spouses. You see, retirement is not just about the employee. It's also bringing in the spouse, bringing in the family. I actually encourage families to go from my retirement plan to our retirement plan. In other words, we should gather around the table and say, this is our retirement plan. This is our game. As I talk about retirement and as I conclude, I also want to share with you that when we talk of retirement, it is not that we are saying employment is bad. Employment is a blessing. Employment is a blessing, particularly in countries with low unemployment levels. So be grateful to the employer. Do everything that you can for your employer. Build a good name during employment. But what is wrong is to be employed and not understand how to play the employment game. I repeat that. Employment is very good. It's a blessing. You are a miracle to have employment in some countries. What is wrong, and forgive my French here, what is foolish is being employed and not having a retirement plan. Being employed and not having a retirement plan puts a lot of people in danger. It puts your family in danger. It is the greatest risk you can ever carry as an employee. It is the greatest risk you can ever carry as a business owner. So retirement happens at any time. The holistic definition of retirement is not about age. Actually, retirement is not about age. I don't believe in retirement as a function of age. Retirement must be purpose-driven. The word purpose means reason for existence. So when we talk of purpose-driven retirement, we are saying, what is the purpose why you went into employment? What is the reason why you are still employed where you are? Serve purpose. But once purpose has been served, it is time to retire. So I retired at 46. I had a very plush job. I was a director. Some of you Google my credentials. A director, everything, SUV, big office, everything. I left because I had served purpose. I said to the board when I was retiring, they said to me, stay on, we'll buy you another vehicle. I said, no, if I stay here, I'm just now waiting for another vehicle. 4 years, you buy me another vehicle. But I am purposeful. I have served purpose. If I had time, I was going to give you, I see my aides are giving me 5 minutes to go. So if I had time, I was going to tell you the 3 purposes. When you are employed, when you start a business, there are only 3 purposes why you do so. every employee, every employer, every family must understand the purpose of employment. And once that purpose has been done, there's no reason for existence there. It is time to transition to another purpose, until your purpose on earth is done. I want to conclude by encouraging every man to have a retirement plan, to sit down with your family and discuss your end. The word vision means a mental picture of your end. All these assets you're accumulating, what is the end? How are you going to leave them here on earth? Because you have to, it's a matter of time. And also understand that we are not on this earth forever. No one is on this earth forever. We are here to serve a certain purpose. Once that purpose has been done, as much as death is painful to our loved ones, even to ourselves to think of our end as regards death, we will all have to leave this earth. So be intentional. Contribute. One of the reasons why you're employed, one of the reasons why you are here, as I give it away, is contribution. What is your contribution to humanity? How much did you solve the problems for humanity? How much did you move so that we are better as a people? How much did you move to remove, as I challenge you, particularly those listening to me from Africa? How much did you move? How much did you contribute to reducing the poverty that we see in Africa, to removing the corruption that we see, to removing the selfish way of living that we see? That could be a purpose. Serve that purpose. Once you've served that purpose, as much as people might be wanting you, as much as people might say stay on, it is time to retire. It is time to go and serve in another purpose. I was a plant engineer. I served my purpose. I produced tons and tons of product. But now I'm serving another purpose. That is the retirement, which I never started for. But as I responded to the disaster that happened in our family, I found another purpose. So discover another purpose. Change your mindset. Change your mindset. Some of you who have listened to me, you might still not think about it. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to do this. The time is now. The time is now, my brother, to think about your retirement, to think about your end, to think about the third generation in your family. So I want also to leave you my number, because I didn't do justice in terms of the content that I had prepared, because they have to drive me out. My number is +263 779 663 855. My number again, +263 779 663 855. Or you can Google me and find and reach out to me. Let's help each other. To me, this is a calling. It's no longer just about money. I retired because I reached financial freedom. This is to help each other to finish well. The end of a matter is more important than the beginning. The end of employment is more important than the beginning. The end of your company is more important than when you started it. What are you doing to make sure that you have a happy ending? I want to thank you for listening to me. I know I've had to rush, but this is what it means when you serve purpose. You become overwhelmed. You are always busy. And I want to challenge you to be purposeful from now going forward. I want to thank you.